Social media posts made by a Department of Homeland Security employee were the subject of a contentious exchange during yesterday's annual Senate Threats to the Homeland hearing. Republican Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri and DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas sparred after Senator Hawley questioned Secretary Mayorkas about a series of profane anti-Israel posts made by a single DHS employee who is Palestinian, criticizing Israel amid the current war.
Mr. Secretary, what's going on here? Is this typical of people who work at DHS? This is an asylum and immigration officer who is posting these, frankly, pro-genocidal slogans and images on the day that Israelis are being slaughtered in their beds. What have you done about this?
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Like, if you'd like to have a minute to respond, you are welcome to.
I would, and I'm not sure I'll limit it to 60 seconds.
That's fine.
Number one, what I found despicable is the implication that this language, tremendously odious, actually it could be emblematic of the sentiments of the 260,000 men and women of the Department of Homeland Security. Number one. Number two, Senator Hawley takes an adversarial approach to me in this question, and perhaps he doesn't know my own background. Perhaps he does not know that I am the child of a Holocaust survivor. Perhaps he does not know that my mother lost almost all her family at the hands of the Nazis. And so I find his adversarial tone to be entirely misplaced. I find it to be disrespectful of me and my heritage, and I do not expect an apology, but I did want to say what I just articulated. Thank you.
I mean,
someone needed to do a little research.
A little bit of research. That's a problem. You're always
the grandstanding.
Playing to the grandstanding and the shock opera. It's repulsive. I mean, it's repulsive. What was repulsive? The posts were repulsive. So was Senator Hawley, suggesting that the son of a Holocaust survivor who lost most of her family during the Holocaust was anti-Semitic. That's how stupid they are.
And the suggestion that one post leads to rot. It means there's rot in the DHS, there's rot in the government, the deep state. He's trying to make a point with one truly despicable post by one employee, and obviously some poor staff work there not to know that Secretary Mayorkas is a child of a Holocaust survivor.
And again, how does a guy who did the best he could do to rev up the crowds on January the 6th, Jonathan, start a riot that would end with the death of 4 police officers in the days that followed, days and weeks that followed, would lead to the first insurrection against the United States of America? How does a guy like that, first of all, how is he still in the United States Senate? Still is beyond me. I'm shocked by that, first of all. But secondly, how does this guy take the high road on any issue? He is completely, totally, utterly, without shame, calling a Holocaust survivor's son anti-Semitic.
Well, shamelessness is a defining characteristic of so many in the Republican Party right now, particularly those who have aligned themselves so closely with Donald Trump. Hawley is someone who is playing, to Mika's point, playing to a conservative media audience, playing to shock opera, playing to those he can then whip up some money from afterwards. Look, I took a stand against the deep state. I took a stand against the federal government. I took a stand against Joe Biden's DHS, and then raised some money off of it. And obviously, Secretary Mayorkas quickly put him in his place yesterday.
Yeah, Walter, we have really. It's amazing how quickly we've seen Congress devolve from even 20, 25 years ago.
Especially the Senate.
But especially the Senate, being a place where you had giants, people who dedicated their lives to working with the other side, to now just being an institution that is filled with people who don't govern. They just gesture, like Josh Hawley.
Yeah, performative shock art has become what politicians, so many of them, try to do. And our system, ever since 1790 or so, has been based on the fact that we temper some of the passions and we figure out to do checks and balances. There's so many reasons in our society, starting with everything from money to social media to the way gerrymandering works, that has led us to this performative art that you see in Josh Hawley, rather than the type of people, especially the senators in the 50s and 60s and 70s, who finally, in the 1970s, and 60s, figured out how to do civil rights legislation and come to some balances.